With his superior gongfu he was able to easily lock Go Jing's arms and legs and hold him down. He then prepared to bite into Go Jing's neck to extract his precious drug. Meanwhile Huang Rong, no matter how quickly she moved, had not been able to get past Sha Tongtian. She was already getting anxious about what would happen if he decided to catch her. She decided that a change of tact may be more appropriate. "If I can get through the door, then you promise to leave me be, okay?" she asked. "If you can get through the door, I will admit defeat," replied Sha Tongtian. "Aiyo! What a pity my father only taught me the skill of entering, not the skill of leaving," she sighed. "What is this entering and leaving skill?" Sha Tongtian asked, half doubting, half curiously. "Your change form exchange place skill, although not bad, is still far below that of my father's skills. Way below, in fact," she boasted. "Don't talk crap, you stupid girl," Sha Tongtian retorted angrily. "Anyway, who is your father? If I told you my father's name, I'm afraid I would scare you out of your wits, so it's best if I don't say," Huang Rong replied mischievously. "When he taught me the skill of entering, he hid by the doorway and I tried to rush in from outside. I tried many times but was never able to get past him. However, even though I cannot get out against you with your piddling skills, there is no way that you could stop me from getting back in. I wouldn't even have to raise a sweat." Sha Tongtian laughed coldly and said, "From outside going in or from inside going out, what's the difference? Okay, you come here and show me." With that he moved aside to let her demonstrate the great entering gongfu which she boasted. Huang Rong immediately shot outside and laughed. "Ha, you fell for my trick. You said a minute ago that if I could get through the door that you would admit defeat and would let me go. Well, am I outside now? Did I not go through the door? Come now, Dragon King Sha, you are an honorable man, your word is your bond. You cannot think of going back on what you promised in front of all these gentlemen." Although Sha Tongtian knew that she had tricked him, she was correct. His word was his bond and he could hardly go back on what he promised. He scratched his bald head and flushed red but could see no way to get out of this. Peng Lian, who however was not about to let Huang Rong get away. He suddenly shot out a stream of darts towards her. The darts were extremely fast but they were aimed close to the back of her head rather than right at her. However, when they hit the stone pillar they ricocheted towards her. They were too fast for her to catch and she had no choice but to leap forward a pace to avoid them. The darts continued in a stream and each one forced her to move forward half a few inches. Before she knew it, she had moved back inside the hall again. Peng Lian's objective all along had been to force her back into the room, and everyone watching exclaimed their praise at his skill. He just laughed and said, "What's this? You've gone back inside again." Huang Rong scowled. "Huh? You used your ninja weapons to bully a girl and force her to move. What's so fantastic about that?" "Who was bullying you?" he asked incredulously. "I never laid a finger on you or harmed you." "Then let me go," she said angrily. "First tell us who taught you your gongfu," he demanded. Huang Rong smiled and said, "I taught myself whilst in my mother's womb." Peng Lian said, "If you're not willing to tell us, then perhaps I can find out another way." With this he shot his fist straight towards her shoulder. Huang Rong didn't move or try to block the blow. She figured that he wouldn't dare to act so shamelessly as to hit a girl who refused to fight back. When Peng Lian saw she wasn't going to fight, he pulled short his punch and withdrew his arm, shouting, "Come on, show me what you've got. Stupid girl. I bet I can find out who you're master by your style of fighting within 10 martial arts moves." He had seen many styles during his life, and although he had seen that Huang Rong was a very crafty girl, he was confident that she would not be able to hide her real martial arts style from him in a true fight. In fact, he thought he needed no more than 10 to do so. Huang Rong asked, "And if you have not found out within 10 moves? Then I will let you walk free," he replied, and without further ado launched into an attack using triple linked penetration, so called because it incorporated 3 movements. Huang Rong turned her body and dodged whilst forming a ring with her thumb and little finger and stretching the remaining fingers to form a three-pronged fork. Using this she counter-attacked using the Night Trident searches the sea. Hu Tonghai cried out, "Night Trident searches the sea. Senior brother, this brat must be from Thor's School of Martial Arts." "Rubbish!" scolded Sha Tongtian. He knew that Huang Rong had already been teasing and making fun of Hu Tonghai for some time before tonight. He figured that she must have picked up the Night Trident searches the sea from her earlier encounters fighting with Hu Tonghai. Peng Lianhu couldn't suppress a laugh as he whirled around to attack again. Huang Rong turned obliquely to the left and without bending a knee or taking a step suddenly moved to the side. Hu Tonghai again exclaimed, "Change form, exchange place. Senior brother, did you teach her that?" Sha Tonghai again scolded him saying, "Can you shut up, okay? Always saying stupid things." However, inside he couldn't help but admire Huang Rong's intelligence and skill in learning the basics of such a move after only having seen it once. Even if the execution of the move wasn't entirely correct, she had been able to dodge Peng Lianhu's strike. Amazing achievement. As the fight continued, Huang Rong attacked using the soul-smashing knife followed by the soul-snatching whip strikes. When Hu Tonghai saw these attacks and heard her call out, "Yi!" with each strike he couldn't help but call out, "Senior brother. This brat must be from our school." If he didn't see Sha Tonghai's face growing angrier by the minute, he would have again called out the name of the sex moves. Peng Lianhu was also getting angrier. He thought to himself, "So far I've been kind and have shown mercy with my attacks, but this girl is craftier than a witch. If I don't start using more vicious attacks, I run the chance of not forcing her to reveal her true style." Martial artists, after training in their chosen style, may pick up moves from other styles and over time can even become quite proficient at them. However, in a life and death struggle, they will always return to their roots and use the style that they first learned and are most familiar with. Peng Lianhu's first 4 strikes had been mild and contained no desire to injure. However, from his 5th strike his moves became like a whirlwind. When all the spectators saw his moves take on a vicious turn, they couldn't help but become worried for Huang Rong. Everyone had no idea of her background, and although she had been stubborn, no one actually had any real grievance against her or wanted to see such a young, pretty and charming girl come to any harm. No one except for Hu Tonghai, that is, who actually thought, the sooner the boy is dead the better. Huang Rong continued hide her style by using strikes from Wan Yinkang's Complete Truth School and Go Jing's Southern Mountain Fist style. She had only just learned these moves by seeing them earlier the same day when Go Jing and Wan Yinkang fought using them on the stage. For the 7th move she even used Peng Lianhu's triple-linked penetration that she first saw only 6 moves ago. However, now it was getting more and more dangerous. Even in a straight fight with Huang Rong using all her strength and true skills against Peng Lianhu, she would not be able to prevail. How could she expect to survive using tricks picked up by observing others? She was gambling against the fact that even though he was using the most vicious strokes, that he wouldn't actually go so far as to kill her. This little girl is remarkably smart. She can hold herself against that Peng guy's fists. Ayo! Watch out! Watch out! Why haven't you dodged left? Peng Lianhu's style used a brilliant mixture of false, that is feints, and real strikes, which he was able to switch between at will. On the 8th move he made a feint with his left and a real lunge with his right. Huang Rong expected him to do the opposite on the next move and feint with his right whilst attacking with his left. This meant that she ought to dodge to her right, but when she heard Zhao and Kei call out, she immediately changed her mind and leapt elegantly to the left. This sudden posture was exquisite, and it turned out that nobody in the crowd recognized it. When Peng Lianhu heard Zhao and Kan's crucial word of help, he became furious. He thought, "Do you think that I won't kill you if I have to, you stupid girl?" His nickname wasn't Slaughterer of 1,000 Hands for nothing. He had an extremely cruel nature when angry. At first when he saw Huang Rong, he thought that she, being so young, and a girl, It would be shameful to kill her, but now at the second last move of the contest and still yet to find her real school, he was so angry that he no longer cared. He struck with push open the window and watched the moon using all his force, left hand yin, right hand yang, one soft, one hard, both simultaneously pushing out. Huang Rong knew that things were desperate now. She stepped back as she saw his fists coming toward her face. All that she could do was to duck her head, bend both her arms, point both elbows forwards and strike at his chest. Peng Lian, who expected her to try and block this strike and intended to follow up with the 10th stroke. However, he was taken aback that she should actually try a counterattack against such a vicious strike. He had already half-executed the 10th strike Falling Star Great Void, but immediately concentrated his internal energy to stop his strike like trying to rein a horse back from tipping over a cliff. "You are a disciple of twin killers of the dark winds," he cried out with a shiver in his voice. Huang Rong leapt back several feet. When Peng Lian who called out these words, a wave of fear went through the room. Everyone present, with the exception of Price Zhao, knew of the dreaded twin killers of the dark winds. Even the feared slaughterer of 1,000 hands Peng was afraid to touch her now. Before Huang Rong could say anything, a cry sounded in the still night air. It was Go Jing, and he sounded as if he was in real danger. Huang Rong was suddenly concerned about his safety and her face went white with fear. Go Jing's arms and legs were all held down by Liang Ziwang. He wasn't able to move an inch, but as he saw Liang Ziwang coming closer ready to bite his throat, he suddenly felt a surge of strength born of desperation and executing carp arching backwards. He was able to free himself and leap upright. Liang Ziwang quickly struck again. Go Jing tried to leap forward away from Liang Ziwang, but Liang Ziwang's speed was like the wind, and there was no way Go Jing could escape it. Smack! The punch hit him square on his back, and was not at all like the earlier punches from Wanyan Kang. This one felt like it penetrated to the bone. Go Jing was frightened out of his wits and didn't stop for another hit, but continued running straight ahead, away from everyone. His Jingong Lightfoot skill ability was very good, and he used it to maximum ability to speed through the trees and rookeries of the garden. Liang Ziwang was not able to keep pace. Go Jing initially ran very fast, but after a short while felt himself growing slower and he began to pant heavily. There was a big hole torn in the back of his gown and he felt pain from where he had been hit. He thought that the Liang Ziwang's last punch must have actually been a claw and taken some of his flesh away along with the back of his cloak. He was very worried now and looked frantically for some place to hide. Straight ahead was the consort Wang's shabby compound. He rushed in with the hope that they wouldn't search there and he might be able to make his escape later. He lay down behind the wall at the back and didn't dare to move a muscle. Soon he heard Liang Ziwang and Wanyan Kang, one calling the other answering, coming closer. Liang Ziwang was so angry he couldn't control his voice as he called out. Go Jing thought anxiously, if I wait here by the wall it's only a matter of time before they find me. Consort Wang seems to have a kind nature, perhaps she will save me. Given the critical situation he didn't have any time to think further, so he quickly slipped inside the house. There he only found a lighted candle on the table in the middle of the room. Consort Wang must have been in another room. He quickly looked around the room and saw a wooden wardrobe in the east corner, which he opened the door and slipped in before closing it, leaving only a crack to see through. He then pulled out his golden knife and allowed himself to relax a little. He heard footsteps and saw Consort Wang walk in slowly. She sat down by the table and looked at the candle as if in a daze. Before long Wanyan Kang entered and asked, "Mother, did some bad man come in and give you a fright?" Consort Wang shook her head, and so Wanyan Kang went outside again and continued searching elsewhere with Liang Ziwang. Consort Wang then closed the door and looked as if she was going to bed. Go Jing thought, as soon as she blows out the candle he'll slip out through the window and escape. No, I had better wait a while first, in case I run into the young prince and that white-haired fellow again. That crazy guy tried to bite my throat. That sure is some weird kind of gong fu. My Shifus never taught me anything like that before. I really must ask them about it next time I see them. Going around and biting people's throats. What's with that? He then thought some more. After fighting so much and being away for so long, Huangrong must have gone by now. I had better get out as well, otherwise she might be wondering what's been keeping me. Suddenly the window creaked open and someone leaped in. Both Go Jing and Consort Wang had a shock. Consort Wang gave a gasp, but Go Jing noticed that the person who had just entered was none other than Mu Yi, or now Yang Tai-sin. Go Jing couldn't be more surprised. He had assumed that he and his daughter had fled the palace long ago. When Consort Wang recognized him, she quickly said, "Please hurry and leave, before they find you." Yang Tai-sin replied, "Many thanks for Consort Wang's keen concern. If I didn't come here to thank you in person, I would regret it to my dying day." His words contained an element of sarcasm, as if fully of bitter rancor. Consort Wang sighed and said, "Please forget it. It is my son who has wronged you and your daughter." Yang Tai-sin looked around and saw that beside a table, lamp, bed and wardrobe there was not much else. Everything seemed to be old, worn and familiar. He suddenly felt a wave of sadness, and he could not suppress a tear as it trickled down his cheek. He wiped his eyes with his sleeve and walked over to the wall where the lone spear was hanging. He took it down and saw that it was covered with rust. He could still make out the 4 characters Taizeng Ang Clan written on the spear blade. He gently stroked the spear shaft and sighed, "This iron spear is rusty. It has not been used for a long while." Consort Wang spoke softly, "Please don't touch the spear." "Why?" asked Yang Tai-sin. "Because this is the most precious possession I have," she murmured. Yang Tai-sin was suddenly sad. "Really?" he asked bitterly. He paused before going on, "This spear used to have a matching partner, however today only one remains." "What?" asked Consort Wang, surprised, but he didn't reply. He hung the spear on the wall and gazed at the broken plough tip, saying absent-mindedly, "This plough tip is worn. Tomorrow I will call on Zhang Muir in the East Village to take a cutty of iron and see if he can repair it." When Consort Wang heard this, she felt as if she had been struck by a bolt of lightning. For a moment she was speechless as she stared at him. Finally she stammered, "Wow, who are you?" Yang Tai-sin replied slowly but evenly, "I said the plough tip is worn. Tomorrow I will call on Zhang Muir in the East Village to take a cutty of iron and see if he can repair it." Consort Wang felt her knees going weak. She again stammered, "Wow, who are you? How could you know what my late husband said the night he died?" Consort Wang was none other than Yang Tai-sin's wife, Bao Ziruo. When Wang in Hongli was wounded by an arrow that day near Ox Village, Bao Ziruo had saved his life. When he saw such a beautiful woman save his life, he couldn't stop thinking about her after he escaped that night. So he bribed Duan Tiandi to have his soldiers raid Ox Village that night so that he could arrange to save Bao Ziruo and appear to be a hero. Once her husband and friends were dead, then she would be alone in the world and would naturally look to her rescuer to protect her. So he took her north and was patient enough she would sooner or later give up hope of return and agree to remarry to him, starting a new life together. During the 18 years at the palace, her face had not changed much at all. Yang Tai-sin's face though had undergone much change from the hardships he encountered on the road searching for her. Now when they met again, she could not recognize her former husband at first. After all these years of mutual longing to be together again, this night amongst so much danger was as if they were in a dream. Yang Tai-sin didn't reply. He just walked over to the table and pulled open a drawer. Inside he saw a couple of sets of a man's blue coats, exactly the same as the ones he used to wear. He picked one up, saying, "I have enough coats to wear. You are tired and should rest now that you are pregnant. No need to make more clothes for me." These words were the same ones spoken by him to her 18 years before when she was pregnant. Bao Ziruo rushed over to his side and grabbed his sleeve. When she pulled it up, she saw a familiar old scar. A mix of surprise and joy suddenly enveloped her. For the past 18 years she had thought her husband had been dead, and now to recognize him now standing before her was like a ghost come back to life. She immediately hugged him with both arms, holding tightly and crying, "Quickly! Quickly take me with you! I am not afraid of ghosts. I would rather become a ghost and be together with you than part with you again." Yang Taizin held his wife as warm tears rolled down his cheeks. After a long while he asked gently, "Do you think that I am a ghost? I don't care if you are a man or a ghost, I won't let go of you again." She sobbed. "How is it that you are still alive? After all these years I can't believe that you are still alive." "Haruat." Yang Taizin was about to reply when suddenly Wan Yinkang's voice called from just outside the window, "Mother, why are you sobbing? Who are you talking to?" Bao Ziruo got a fright. "It's nothing," she called out, "I was just sleeping." Wan Yinkang had clearly heard the sound of a man's voice talking inside the room. He immediately became suspicious and walked around to the door, knocking gently saying, "Mother, I would like to have a word with you." "Tomorrow," she replied, "let's talk tomorrow. I'm very tired now and want to sleep." When Wan Yinkang saw that his mother was not willing to open the door, his suspicions only increased. "I just want to have a few words, then I'll go." Yang Taizin knew that Wan Yinkang was intent on coming in, so he went over to the window with the intention of making a quick flee. He tried to push open the shutter, but to his surprise he found that it wouldn't budge. Someone had locked it from the outside. Bao Ziruo was in a panic. She thought she would play for time and keep talking whilst Yang Taizin found a place to hide. She hurriedly pointed to the wardrobe and motioned for her husband to hide inside. Imagine their surprise when they opened the door and found Go Jing inside. Bao Ziruo couldn't help but let out a little scream. When Wan Yinkang heard this he became extremely worried. He thought someone was trying to harm his mother, so he started trying to break open the door with his shoulder. There was no time to lose. Go Jing grabbed Yang Taizin and pulled him into the wardrobe and closed the door just as the wooden bar on the bedroom door gave a loud crack and flew open. In rushed Wan Yinkang. He saw his mother's face was pale with fear and her cheeks were wet with tears, but apart from her, there was no one else in the room. "Mother, what's wrong? What has been going on?" he asked anxiously. Bao Ziruo made an effort to compose herself before saying, "Nothing. I just am not feeling well." Wan Yinkang rushed over to her and said, "Mother, I promise I won't doing anything stupid again. Please don't be worried. I've been a bad son to make you so worried." "Okay," she said in a comforting way, "now I'm feeling so tired. Please let me go to bed." But Wan Yinkang heard the waver in her voice and asked, "Mother, are you sure that no one has been here recently?" "Who?" she asked. "Just recently a couple of bandits entered the palace." "Really?" she replied. "You really should be going off to bed. Don't let these things concern you." Wan Yinkang said, "Yeah, I'm sure the guards, even though them useless bunch, will be able to take care of them. You need not worry. Please go and have some rest." He was just on the point of leaving when he noticed a slip of a man's robe sticking out from a crack in the wardrobe door. Now he knew that something strange was really going on. He didn't say anything but instead sat down at the table and poured himself a cup of tea which he began to drink slowly whilst he mulled over what to do. "In the wardrobe a man is hiding, but I don't know if my mother knows this or not." He took a few more sips of tea before standing up and slowly walking over to the wall where the spear was hanging. "Mother, what do you think of your son's spear skill that you saw earlier today? I have already told you that I don't like you using your skills to bully other people." Bao Ziruo said in a disapproving tone. Wan Yinkang replied in a hurt tone, "Bully people? I was merely competing one-to-one in a fair competition with that stupid boy." He then grabbed the spear off the wall and playfully tried a few strokes. The red tassel on the spear danced about as he executed the rising phoenix soaring dragon strike, aiming straight at the wardrobe. If this stroke went through the wardrobe, Yang Taizin and Gojing, who were not able to see what was happening, would have no hope of fending off the attack. They would be dead for certain. Seeing this, Bao Ziruo immediately fainted. Wan Yinkang stopped short with his strike. Seeing his mother's reaction, he immediately knew that she knew about the man hiding in the wardrobe. Propping the spear down beside him, he lifted up his mother, but watched the wardrobe for any signs of movement all the time. Slowly Bao Ziruo regained consciousness, and when she saw the wardrobe still intact with no spear hole, she immediately felt immense relief. Having been through so many extreme highs and lows of emotion over the past hour, she felt very weak all over. Wan Yinkang was very angry. "Mother, am I your son or not?" he demanded. "Of course you are my son. Why do you ask?" "Well then, why do you keep so many things secret from me?" Bao Ziruo thought to herself, "I must tell him about today's events and let him be reunited with his true father. After that I will take my life, since I have lost my chastity and thus deeply wronged my husband. This life I can never be reunited with my husband Taizin." At this thought she again burst into tears, which now flowed freely. When Wan Yinkang saw how his mother was acting so strangely today, he didn't know what to think. Finally Bao Ziruo said, "Please take a seat and listen to what I have to say very carefully." Wan Yinkang sat down as told, but he stayed near the spear and continued to watch the wardrobe. Bao Ziruo asked, "Do you see the 4 characters written on the spear? When I was a small boy I asked you about those characters, but you refused to tell me what Yang Taizin meant. Well, now I'm going to tell you what they mean." Yang Taizin, hiding in the wardrobe, could clearly hear every word that was being said between mother and son. Having an impulsive nature, he thought to himself, "She is a prince's consort now. How could she possibly want to live with me again in a shabby hut in the wilds as a village wife? She is about to leak out my identity. Could she actually be planning to have her son kill me?" He heard her continue, "This spear is originally from a place called Ox Village in Jiangnan near the Song city of Linan. I sent men to journey far away to fetch this for me. That plough, this table, lamp, bed, wardrobe, everything in this room has been brought here from Ox Village." Wan Yinkang interrupted, "I really don't understand why you insist on living in the old shabby shack. I can get you the most beautiful furnishings, but you always refuse. You say that this place is a shabby shack. But to me it is better than the most intricately decorated palace. Child, you are not fortunate. You have never lived with your true mother and father in such a shabby place." When Yang Taizin heard this, he felt a sudden wave of emotion and could not keep himself from shedding tears. Wan Yinkang laughed, "Mother, the more you talk the stranger you become. How can father possibly live in this place?" Bao Ziruo sighed, "Such a pity he wandered all over the country for 18 years, living amongst the rivers and lakes. If he could have just lived here for half a day, that would be more than comfortable enough for him." When Wan Yinkang heard this, he opened his eyes wide and asked in a trembling voice, "Mother, what are you saying?" Bao Ziruo asked in a sharp voice, "Who do you think your real father is?" Wan Yinkang said, mystified, "My father is the great Jin Prince Zhao." "Mother, why are you asking me this?" Bao Ziruo stood up and took the spear, cradling it in her arms, tears again flowing. "Child, you don't know, but I can't blame you. This is your real father's spear that he used to use many years ago." Pointing to the characters on the spear, she continued, "This is your real father's name." Wan Yinkang felt his body shake. "Mother," he cried out, "you are talking rubbish. You must be going crazy. I'm going to call for the doctor. Am I talking rubbish? You say that you are a Jin? You are Chinese. Your name is not really Wan Yinkang, it's Yankang." Wan Yinkang was shocked and very angry. He turned to go, shouting, "I'm going to ask father." Bao Ziruo cried out, "Your father isn't there." With this she took a bold step toward the wardrobe, pulled open the door, and taking Yang Taizin's hand led him out into the room.